Hello and welcome to another live stream, another episode of Learning from the Masters. And today we are going to talk about the French artist William Bouguereau, which is a late 19th century academic painter, but we are going to talk about the name academic. As always, this is not a class about the history of art or anything. I'm not an expert. I'm just looking at the work of Bouguereau from an artist perspective. So I hope everything is working fine because I do not have the cable for my monitor, so I do not have a second screen, so I have to check out the chat with my phone. Which is kind of lame, but I can see you. Hello, Arad. Hey, Petka. Zla. Yes, I do have to stream always before the Barcelona match because I'm trying to compete with the FC Barcelona. I think I can have a good edge because I can get some of this art lovers crowd. And art and football lovers crowd, they can mix sometimes, but like we're not gonna have as many viewers as the match. That's for sure. All right, where's that losing Freud? It's still thinking about still thinking about coming someday. So we'll see. Hey Mike. Hey Luis. All right. So I hope Florent 1, Barcelona 0. Yeah, well, yeah. Art, you should say Art 1, Barcelona football. All right. So how's it going, guys? Can you hear me properly? Is everything working fine? So basically, I'm going blind right here because I do not have a live view about what I'm doing, and I'm gonna just try to reboot my phone because I did not have the picture properly. Okay, yeah, all right, now I see. All right, apparently it's working. Okay. How long did it take you to get to this stage? This stage of what? What do you mean by get to this stage? I'll watch the match and the stream at the same time. Well, the stream is you can watch it later as you go, and the game. If you know, sometimes football can get boring. Like, I mean, if nothing's happening, it's nothing's really going on. Like no score. Well, you can watch the stream and just watch the goals and the replay, or watch the replay of this live stream, however you prefer. All right, everything is good. Do you know who Tom Keating is? No, I have no idea. All right, okay. So today we're going to talk about Bouguereau. But mandatory advertising for myself before we go any further. Well, I know you guys know about it, but for some of you who don't know, if you want and if you're interested, you can go to my website, florentfarge.com, and you can check the education tab and look at this. You can learn about oil painting with the practical guide to oil painting techniques and materials by Florent Farge. Amazing. And yeah, that's mandatory advertising because well, why not? I mean, I think for all the information, it's a very fair price. So if you don't have it already, maybe order it and ask Santa. Who knows? Maybe Santa is going to dig the art, right? So what do you get? You get a practical guide, which is 3 hours of all this. I mean, look at this. I didn't have enough space to include all the content of of this program. I mean, there's not even enough room on this screen right here. Talking about all of these points, very technical. It's all about the technique, all about the material and practical aspects of the painting. So none of the artistic side. I'm not going to say this is good, this is the color you should use whatever you want, and you paint however you want. You just paint the right way, and you know all the options you have. So that's the good thing. 2 hours portrait demonstration, and you can also get the extended version with a figure painting demonstration, which YouTube's probably going to flag me for nudity, but it's alright. It's art. Professionality in painting. Yeah, it took me like all my hours of my time. I do not like spend an hour without doing anything art related. Alright. Hey McPollins. Hi Polar Bear. How do you pronounce BOUGUEREAU? Like this, BOUGUEREAU. BOUGUEREAU. Hi Agnès. Can you break down his name into parts to help me learn saying it? BOUGUEREAU. Boo like boo. Ge like Goethe in German, like Goethe, the writer. Goethe, but you remove the T. And ro like ro, but you have to know the that's the trickiest part for not people that do not speak French, is the r, which is not exactly like the Spanish r, and not exactly like the Italian, or not even Italian r, like they roll it much more, and Spanish make it more r, I think, and we are r. It's tricky, I know. Okay. You're the best, why not? I'm excellent, thank you. I do not compare to anyone, but yeah. I'm not trying to compare or anything. It's just information that I can provide, and I'm making everything on my own. So basically, the price is decent because everything is homemade. I do everything from scratch, which makes the price much lower than what it would be if I had a production crew taking a strong percentage of the benefits. So if you don't have it, order it to Santa, or you'll be sorry for not knowing all the complex knowledge of oil painting. And talking about complexity, we are talking about William Bouguereau, which is probably one of the highest level of technicity and complexity in oil painting. We're not going to dig into all the technique that Bouguereau had, because I think it's a lot of things. I mean, it's pretty much an artist that arrived at the end of the academic era. So basically, the art of the academies the classical art have been from the Renaissance to the end of the 19th century. It's only been climbing up in refinement, complexity, and true realism. And really, Bouguereau came at the end of this era, and he was criticized. I mean, he was criticized because he was right at the end. And when you're at the end, the artists that come just after you are going to be super harsh on you. Like, they're going to be very critical about what you do. And Bouguereau has been pointed out as being like a very pompier artist, which is a word in French. Pompier means fireman, and it's a word that's been used, like, it's a derogatory word that's been used for these artists to criticize the fact that, like, in many of David's painting there, the kind of helmets that make it look like French pompier at this time, firemen. Or it could also be, and I think this the better explanation for pompier is that it is a kind of pun on the word pompous, or like pompeux in French. So he's been accused of being pompeux in a way, but yeah, um, I think it's not a very it's not what could define this artist, because he was special in a way, in lots of ways. Okay, hi Mike. I've got Florence video and it's so worth it. Can't really say enough. Thank you. I'm not an oil painter. Well, if you're not an oil painter, that's not for you, of course. I won't be able to pronounce that. Uh, the French sound. Yeah, I think, yeah, it comes from a word, a pun on the word pompous, which means like kind of mannered and I don't know, pompous. I hope you get the definition of the word pompous. So he was accused of being pompier. I think looking at what he's done today, we could think that yeah, some of it might feel kind of kitsch, some of it might feel very academic, but in all the paintings, you can really see a very high level of technique, and also a huge care for beauty, for depicting beauty in all its forms. And I think this is what BOUGUEREAU is the best at, is trying to just paint simple beauty. Alright, this could be considered very academic, very classical, and of course he did some of these. So you see these kind of mythical themes, and it was it was done at the time everywhere. So basically at the end of the 19th century, people had enough about this type of art, and there was the artists that came after this, well, the realists, the romanticists, the impressionists, all these artists were all the avant-garde, we could say, were very harsh on this type of art. They were saying, well, it's old, it's outdated, and it's pompous. Pompier. Okay, what color do you have to make? Do you have to mix to make a silver color? It's not about the color, it's about what's around the object. Think about silver as a mirror. So it's mostly about the object surrounding. So if you have a silver cup and an orange next to it, you need some orange, of course, in the silver cup, like in the reflections. And you need to depict the values properly, like having strong specular reflections and highlights. Hello, Catarina. How is it going in Italy? Arrogant, maybe, for pompous. Yeah, I think this was the idea. Watching the new Amityville movie. How is it? I don't know. You speak French. For me, your English sounds really good. I'm Spanish loyal. I didn't realize. Yeah, I do speak French. That's my mother tongue, but my English is kind of okay, I guess. Hi, Vox. Yeah, learning from the masters, right? And BOUGUEREAU is really one of the masters you can learn the most from, in my opinion. All right. Okay. All right. So let's jump into BOUGUEREAU. So of course this is very classical. So mythical theme as always, but you can really see I mean, I just love to spot the details from a very closed up perspective, because I can tell you that not much of anything is going to be is going to look wrong, and you can go even like in a corner right here, and it still looks perfect. Like there's no defect, nothing at all is not worked with extensive care and detail and attention for detail, and also perfection. I think there's really a sense of perfection getting in Bouguereau's work. So this one is a Bouguereau painting, but it's not the most famous one. And of course, if you know Bouguereau, I think you are probably more accustomed to this type of painting, which is what he was most famous for, like depicting peasants or very simple, modest people, like bohemians, or just young children out in the countryside or in nature. And this is what he was mostly famous for, and this is gorgeous. Even if it's, I think, looking at it today, colors they lack a sense of brightness that the Impressionists were able to bring after that. But there's also something very soothing as well in this type of a landscape and in this painting. So you have something. It's not the bright and bold expressive view that the Impressionists got, but you have something very very well thought, very like when you very well prepared, well thought, and he put a lot of work and a lot of reflection, a lot of thinking into making the composition work properly, having the right light, the right type of model. And I think that this extensive work really shows, because I mean, you could say, well, it's maybe a boring day in the countryside, and this little girl, it looks cute, but like she's a real little girl, like, and nothing much is happening in the countryside, but she's pretty real. And this as well. I mean, it's super hard to not make a child look creepy. This is this requires the work of a master to not make a child look very creepy, because a child can look very weird, especially people smiling in pictures, like a model smiling on a painting. It's really hard to paint without making it look somehow disturbing. I don't know why. Don't ask me why, because I think for a photo it's okay, like people smile and you get it. But I mean, with a painting, like, it's funny, you cannot ask a model to sit for hundreds of hours smiling to get the right smile. So you pretty much have to make it out on your own. You can ask the model to smile a little bit, but you cannot hold a smile standing in a long pose like this all the time. I mean, it's going to be very tense. It's going to move a lot. So you don't have a true reference. So you have to make it up on your own. The smile, you have to make it up on your own, and this gets very difficult and very hard to do. Hey John, Mike and T, I'm going to buy your painting tutorial. Thank you. The colors accentuate the baby How old are you? I am 31, I think, but I don't want to count anymore. She looks pissed off, lol. She hates it to sit model for her dad. She looked as if it was really another day in the countryside. Exactly, and this very natural look and very kind of the colors are kind of tuned down to the key of brown to kind of even out the colors in general. And well, the music is getting annoying. Um, yeah, and I don't know. I think it looks always very natural, but you have an ideal sense of beauty. So you have things that are more kitsch like this. I don't know, maybe I'm just attracted to Bouguereau because I mean, to me it makes sense. This type of composition makes perfect sense. I don't know, I'm like this, I'm rigid, but I like framed composition. I like symmetrical composition. I don't know, I'm like this. I like it. I like the composition. I think it's really good. But you could say it's boring, right? It's just like blocky. But yeah, if you think about it, if you think about it, she brings a nice unbalanced, but a very natural unbalance. She kind of leans on her right, right, yeah. And look at the gesture on the of the legs. You don't. Well, we would. I mean, I would do a huge mess with this type of drapery. Because basically, what defines the legs? You have to know perfect anatomy. Where do the legs start? Where is the knee? And you have to be very subtle in the shadows here because not much is making a difference between this white here and this gray here, which is not even a white, it's a gray and it's a light gray. It's a darker gray, slightly darker gray. And this is very subtle, but it works perfectly. And you have foreshortening, which is also very difficult to do. I mean, many people would make this very unnatural, but Bouguereau is just making it to the perfection. And these type of detail, you don't really see them, and you're like, oh, well, it's a boring girl dressed in an antique type clothing with a little Cupid angel thing. All right, yeah, good. Well, it's still a masterful piece of work right here. Because if you look at this, I mean, wow, 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 that's pretty impressive zooming right here. Let's just see if it gets unpixelated. Oh, look at these babies. Look at the level of work and detail that there was. Hey James, sorry I didn't check the message. Do I also have a tutorial on chiaroscuro? No, I don't have a tutorial on chiaroscuro, but I did do a, a demonstration where I use a very strong chiaroscuro, but I didn't publish it. I was not really proud of it. So, how much does a tutorial cost? It's 54.90 euros. You have to match the face expression, not just the mouth, or else, yeah, it looks creepy. Exactly, Oana Pavel. And hi, by the way, I think I didn't say hi. Um, all right, can you tell some more about composition in general? I don't know if I can tell some more about composition in general. I think we'll get to it because this video is mainly about composition. Um, like most of the time, we end up talking about composition because I do not have the exact detail of the technique, the medium, and the pigments and everything. So, all right. Mm -mm -mm. photographic and yet so lifelike. Yeah, at a time when photography was not used, like the photography was black and white at this time. But I mean, if you look at this, the details of these arms, of these fingers, I mean, you have to really be super good because, I mean, look at this. This separation between the fingers from up close, it's almost nothing. But from here, it's just perfect. It works. Oh, and look at these also. These tiny specks of, sorry, pixelated. These very subtle, come on, pixels. Come on, pixels. We're gonna get rid of these pixels, guys. I wanted to show you the very slight bluish, you've seen it, like the bluish hue of the veins. Alright, see you, Polar Bear. There is art and then there is art for the artists. Some education is important to appreciate artistic choice. Luis D'Antonio. Alright, I think we're not going to... Okay. So, see, it's very subtle. And these colors are very, very good looking. I'm amazed by these skin tones. You can see some brushwork, especially in the lightest parts, because they are more opaque, so they strike. And it doesn't matter if they have like, it will only create texture. In the white, it's less disturbing. And in the shadows, for someone like BOUGUEREAU, who doesn't want to have too much texture, by the way. It's not the point. And the shadows are just like very pinkish, very very brownish. I could spend hours and hours staring at these fingers. So I'm probably going to restrain myself because well, no, that's it. That's the end of the stream, guys. I'm gonna stare at it for a while and contemplate how miserable my work could be. Look at these, oh, the highlights on these fingers and the curves. Oh, I mean, all right, end of the stream, guys. I hope you like these ends. Okay, no, I'm kidding, but these are really fantastic hands. Not kidding. Not kidding. Alright, so let's look at the portrait a bit. So it's very classical. So BOUGUEREAU already had some pretty models posing for him. And this child is kind of creepy, by the way. Like this, I would remove this. If it was my painting, I'd probably have removed this already. He had some better children. And this one is not specifically good, but look at this light and this very, very delicate, silky light hitting the skin. It's like the light is just caressing her face, like just. It's not bang. Take some light. No, it's something that many photographers like to have on their painting. Like they call these the back. They have lights on the back, like fillers, supposed to hit you from the back, so that you don't have a very cut off head like with the background. So you have some light coming from the back, and this is perfect. This is perfection, and he did that before this photographic style was done. And you can see here he like this. Well, this looks kind of kitsch. This kind of um, flare thing, like how would you call that? When you have kind of an aura, like this is dark and this is slightly lighter around this light form to sort of suggest some type of shine. Well, this looks a little bit kitsch, I have to say. But yeah, BOUGUEREAU is BOUGUEREAU. This is also a little bit kitschy. Let's find some painting that I really like. Okay, this one is pretty cool. Do you think he did grisaille? Yes, he did some intensive layering. So first of all, he would draw extensively. That's for sure. Well, come on. Load the damn page. Okay. This one is funny. I like it. Really, really cool. The colors are just working really well, and the background is not taking out of the subject. So I think yes, he did an underpainting, which was not necessarily grisaille. It really depends on the case, but I think he did a chromatic underpainting to me. I'm not sure. You have to check that out. So first of all, he would do a drawing, transfer it with whatever method. We are not really sure how he transferred. He didn't pick like these holes like they did in the Renaissance because there's no trace of it. So I think he would just cover the back of one of his drawings with something that would be transferred by pressure, just like I taught you in the practical guide how to do a transfer drawing, an oil transfer on your canvas with a piece of tracing paper. This would be kind of the same without any tracing paper. Actually, you can just take whatever type of paper you want. You paint the back of the paper with paint, and if you press, you put it on your canvas. You don't press with your hand, and just press with a small pencil around the outline that you want, and it's going to transfer just like the same oil transfer technique. I think the skin tones are great to study. I like that you see the color he used. Florent, do you think that the veins are underpainted? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'll have to check it out. But I do not think. I think you could probably do that wet on wet. I think this would, to me, this is what would work the best. And I think BOUGUEREAU had enough. I think he did a cool underpainting on some paintings, but my internet is so slow today, or is it Google Art Project that's slow today? So yeah, I don't know if the veins are underpainted. Are they part of the underpainting, or is it wet on wet? I don't know. It's very funny. Hello, or hello to everyone. I didn't see George, Conray, Glow. Oh yeah, thank you, Connor. Or yeah, it's a glow. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Oriole. Yeah, no, it's glow, I think. Okay. The face, do you think there was some cleaning done and some left out? I don't know. I don't know. Huh. Bouguereau used a terra verte technique for rendering skin, makes it luminous. Love the dark-haired girl's expression. We need to go back in time and ask him. Okay, she's got... Okay, I think, could it be a wash over the underpainting veins? Could be a wash, could be glazing, could be a lot of things. I mean, veins are subtle, so any type of subtle technique is going to work. Alright, this is precious. I mean, love it or hate it, but I mean, this is still a beautiful child's face. I don't know what's happening in these, if this is still pixelated or not. Okay, there's some small crackings here. It's funny to see that some pigments crack more than others. Like there's no crackings around the flake white, which is so the more white you have, and the green, all these pigments have cracked. Don't know why. He used some cicative as well, because he had very extensive work, so he used Holland cicative. I don't exactly know how he created his medium at all, like, but I know that he used some of a quite strong cicative. So I don't know how much he used. I think he used the right amount because his work, he's in a very good conservation stage. So a good use of cicative, just enough to get working every day, and not too much so that it does not ruin the entire drawings. So he would have child coming in his studio for models and all, and there's some funny stories. If you want to learn more about Bouguereau, you can get to the Art Renewal Center, and let me, yeah, it's called Bouguereau at Work, and it's an article about like students of Bouguereau, like it's excerpts from students of Bouguereau that talk a little bit about his technique. So there's some funny stories about the kids like doing some random things in his studio, and he also used sculptures as well, a lot of sculptures. So transfer the drawing, then do another painting, which is not always cool, not necessarily. I mean, if you take this one for instance, I think there is a cool underpainting, but not all of the paintings did have a cool underpainting. Not all of them. This one sure had one. So you can see a grisaille or maybe a verde. I don't know if you said that he used terra verte. I'm not sure though. And yeah, this one is really cool. I mean, composition. So let's talk about the composition. Not a lot to say about this type of composition though. But the movement, It's very cool. Now I think I should. I think it doesn't even work. Okay. No, I wanted another type of thing. Okay, so you have the pretty simple, right? But you have to find this type of movement. You have to find it, and you have to describe it to your model and ask her to stand like this. So probably I imagine the model would have some type of rope here, some type of box to put her feet here, and the pose was probably a lot different than what it looks like in this type of composition. The movement is really fine. It's, it works especially well with this particular effect that really makes it stand out. It's a very simple trick, but looks really good. Is it the same girl from the last picture? Yeah, he used a lot of the same models, like twice. What red pigments he uses? I think he used vermilion. And yeah, Bouguereau used the same girls for a lot of his paintings, either like the children and the women also are sometimes done several times. I think this is an idealized version of a blonde girl, and yeah, sure, it is an idealized version. And like I said in my video on photography and painting, you can see the photography of Bouguereau in his studio with a model, and you see the model is really not looking great actually when you compare it to the idealized version that Bouguereau painted. And yeah, that's what he did. You did a master copy of this one. Cool. So much flow. Exactly. I think this is what best describes this painting. It's all about flow. And break it into thirds. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna do that. Just trying to check the. They have reference photo of this one. Yeah, with the model. Model must have very strong toes. No, I think the model was standing on her heels, and the artist was making out the entire painting, like the pose. How could I break it into thirds? I do not have the tool right here. Let's try to think. Would that think? Would you think this would be thirds? Hmm. No. All right. Approximately. No, this one is not good. Well, you've got approximate thirds, which is a classical composition scheme. to find out how balanced the picture is. Basically, you generally want your center of focus on one of these points here. And yeah, it looks great. I mean, it follows this line, and then it turns away from it. It's lots of imbalance, but yet there's balance. That's the art of BOUGUEREAU for you. Hardware for the models. BOUGUEREAU was an early adopter of photographic reference. She sat on a swing. Oh, really? I don't know about this one. Cool. The plant in the background, or in the foreground, you mean, or in the background? Because in the foreground it's an arum, and the rest I don't know. All right. So she sat on a swing. Yeah, it's possible. He did some very elaborate. He had some very elaborate ways to have model pose, but in the end, the art was more important than the painting. Let's look it up from up close. The art was always much better than the actual model. He was not. He was just looking at the models for the colors, maybe mostly. Sorry, the colors were mostly used, mostly found on the models, and for the rest, um, the drawing, all these lines, he made them on his own. Like he would study, he would look at the model, but then recurve everything, like chisel everything out to make it look just like he wanted. Because of course you cannot have a model even on a swing, or you can get close to this type of pose, but you won't have it for too long. You won't keep it for long enough to really make an impact. So you have to be quick when you have it with your model. You may even take pictures, because for just defining the main lines in the composition, he could use the black and white photography. And then after that, using the model for the color reference. And this is why I think his colors are always so dead on. I mean, it looks really great. Really cool colors. And actually lots of grays, which means that he did extensive research on actual color. There's lots of grays in here, which really suits this type of light. Really cool. This fabric is amazing. Yeah, everything is amazing, pretty much. So for the fabric, he would most of the time have mannequins. And well, this is an old trick, so you don't have to get that from model time. Use model time for the skin, the color of the hair and all. And for the fabric, you can just put them on a mannequin. And the transparency of the fabric is amazing. Really cool. No, this is not the artist referred in Le Fabuleux Destin d'Amélie Poulain. It's not the same. In Le Fabuleux Destin, it was Renoir. So yeah, the fabric is added, not modeled from the pose. But again, you could take a mannequin or any type of device and and display some type of clothing on it to kind of mimic the shape, and works just the same way. This is what I did in my charcoal drawing, with this very complex um, coat with all the texture and all. What I did, I didn't ask my wife to stand there for hours because when I was just painting the coat, so I just took an easel, an old easel that I was not using, and I put the coat on the easel, and I did it from this, and it worked. Because basically you have to get the right shape for the model, and after that it's just filling the blanks. So you know that you want your fabric to have this type of shape. All right. So what type of color should you have? You put it on the on a mannequin or anything really that mimics this type of shape and works. It's a good trick because you don't have to waste too much model time. It's actually a waste of model time to just paint clothing when they're there. All right, let's look at another one. Another one. What I love in Bouguereau's style is what type of thing is this? It's the watercolor. Talk about watercolor mastery right there. It's amazing watercolor, I have to say. Um, yeah, like what I do like is his use of gray in skin tones. But you have to have light that matches the rest of this type of coloration. But he would use gray intensively. I mean, if you look at this, this is all gray. It still looks really good because it it works as a coherent light light works with the light source like a cool day. Shadows feel like this. It's really cool. So you have no brush mark at all right there. It's really hard to find one brush mark. Seems to like females holding babies. Yeah, it's kind of um it's kind of recurring themes, I have to say. Salut Joker. This child is a little bit freaky. Yeah, some childs are not really great. I like this portrait though. I like how the mouth is well defined right here. And I like all this gray, and look at this gray in the eye. I mean, you'd think the eye has to be white. No, it does not. Not necessarily. It depends on the type of light source you're getting. But this drapery is amazing as well. Alright, yeah, you could say that the themes are kind of kitsch, so I think this is why he was kind of forgotten at once, but it is still amazing work to me. I think this portrait is amazing. It's all very idealized, that's true, but that's how it is. The baby's now a sheep. See? It's not always women holding babies. Sometimes it's women holding sheep. And look at this. Look at this furry little thing. This woolly little thing. So cute. Cute. Oh, oh, so cute. Looks cute, right? But oh, this one looks good. This has to be so fun to do these type of texture. You see, you take some white, some yellow ochre, and you have fun. Some raw umber, maybe. And you have fun painting this sheep. It's amazing. And this as well is pretty cool. Pretty cool. Alright, see you, Mike. This fine, no visible brushstroke. Is it how I want to paint? No, not necessarily. I like some visible brushstrokes. I'm a very tight painter as well, I have to say. So I think I'm much closer to BOUGUEREAU than, say, Sargent, for instance. I mean, I could maybe have. I found similarities in the style of a tight painter, which is a painter that tries to work detailed and like fine more so than a loose painter, which is an artist that uses loose brushstrokes. So I find um, more attraction towards someone like BOUGUEREAU, for instance, but I do not necessarily want to work so fine without any visible brush mark. I like some type of visible brush mark, by the way, so I don't necessarily aim for this type of art, but what I do like is the masterful use of color in the shadow, which is just amazing. Amazing. It's also fun to paint hair. Maybe he liked the way hands looked when people hold things. Sure, I think it's always you always have this type of funny academic hands. He just did them very well, and I think he should not have shied away from painting them intensively, because these hands are always gorgeous. So if painting is don't sell, you can always try as a sheep. Just kidding. Yeah, imitating sheep, does it sell? I don't know. I paint tight and looser. I want to paint looser in tight places or find a balance. I think it's mostly about finding a balance, but I think you don't really control how tight or how loose you are. You can maybe force yourself on some parts, but in the end, it's going to come back. If you are tight, like tight or loose, you don't necessarily have a choice. You can work towards being less loose, but you're still going to be loose, or you can work towards being less tight, but you're still going to be tight in the end. You don't really have a say in if you're loose or tight. I mean, I could never. I think I'm never going to feel good painting like Sargent, for instance. It's not necessarily my style, which, by the way, I admire. I admire how Sargent paints, for instance. But I think I'll never get this type of looseness in the brushstrokes. Well, I could try, but this is not necessarily what's attracting me at some point, because at some point I want to go more into these kind of things and really get into the portrait with much refinements. So yeah, but finding a balance is okay. I mean, you can be tight at some parts, like in the portrait you can be tight and much looser in the rest. I mean, if you look at this is very, you could say this is loose in a way, but still. Hi Pixie Ghoul. What exactly is BOUGUEREAU? BOUGUEREAU is not a what, is a who. It's an artist that it's a French artist from late 19th century. I mean, the face is tight, the hair loose. No, the hair is tight as well. This not doesn't mean this here, you mean? Or the hair of the sheep, which is not super loose, by the way. Here maybe? But still loose, but with something that has a lot of texture already. So loose is basically when you leave the brush strokes visible, for those who don't know, and tight is when you work until there is no more of the brush strokes that are visible on your painting. You in your own work. Okay, okay. Yeah, well, this kind of thing in your own work, as you say, the face is tight and the hair is loose. Yeah, that's the type of thing you can find balance in. Because basically, hairs do not necessarily mean to be tight at all, really. And the tighter you try to make the hairs, the more it looks like Da Vinci hair, which is okay if you're looking for some type of Da Vinci hair, but the overstated curls, nah, to me it doesn't work. I much prefer something like this, which you don't have like individually picked out curls. You have a type of an impression of the hair, which is good enough for what the intent is in this picture. Yeah, but this is a really good painting. I mean, Bouguereau is good at making things look, I would say natural, but no, it's not natural, but The colors look right. Everything looks good. And this one is very particular because the color scheme is not the same. And this one is much more modern, we could say, in this approach. And I like the colors in this one as well. It's much more modern, much more I like the very indigo background and the very orangey feeling of this skin. I like to push the skin sometimes a little bit more chromatic, and it works also, but it's not as bouguereau-ish as the rest. This type of skin complexion and this type of light, you can see that Bouguereau was not really familiar with this type of light. I think he had fun with it, but it stayed in the, you can see it's not as achieved as the rest. So this is what underpainting means for Bouguereau, if you're asking. So this has not been covered with as many layers as he was used to. So if you're wondering, oh, what did some underpainting of Bouguereau look like? Well, this could be underpainting. Maybe one or two layers on this one already. And see if he worked fine. And this is transparent. You can see the priming there. Right there. This whole like semi-transparent. And if he finished this, he didn't finish it. I know that. Sure. You can see the canvas. I think another layer was planned on this one, or it's just a study. Let me see. Alright, they don't say, but you don't have the level of finish that Bouguereau used in his rendering. Maybe he was really happy with a more spontaneous look, so maybe he left it like this. Still looks wonderful, by the way. I don't think there is a special need for more layers. Portrait is pretty much perfect as it is. Yeah, looks awesome. All his girl looks unhappy. I think they look. I think they look contemplative. Was he on vacation, perhaps? She's probably unhappy because she's having lemons for dinner. Ah, yeah. That's all she has. And eating all these lemons is not going to be an enjoyable moment, I have to say. Visiting Italy. Maybe it was in Italy. I would like to know more about this story. But I think it works really well. I think the yellow complements really well the purplish hues of the background. It works. It works. And you have some more classical themes. Wow, look at these. What happened in there? So much crackings. Ouch. Alright, the photography is really bad because the light source is coming all from the right here. So you see all the crackings. Oh no, no, well, yeah, I don't know. It's no. cracking is it's kind of disturbing in the photo. I don't know if it's disturbing in real life. This painting has suffered. This one is a lovely classical pose in fact. Really good classical nude. Then just throw a name from mythology and you justify painting a nude, which is good. But damn, these shadows and midtones are so strong. I'm reconsidering my entire work on skin tones right now, because this is amazing. This is amazing, and this is all grayish. It's amazing what you can do with gray. Yep. All right, everyone. So this was a learning from the masters episode. I'm gonna stop here because we pretty much have we had the occasion to have a good look at BOUGUEREAU, not completely in detail. So if you want to check out more about BOUGUEREAU, you can check out the Google Arts and Culture project, which will allow you to zoom in as close as you want. You can also check out other artists. You have everything that you want here, so you can have fun and see lots and lots of things. And yeah, as always, please like this video if you liked it. Don't hesitate and comment, subscribe, everything. And I'll see you on the next one, guys. Take care and have a good one. Oh, look at this. Woo! All right. See you guys.